And the Maryland Democratic Congressman Glen Ivy joining us live here this morning on Morning in America. Congressman, thanks for being with us. Appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
So one of the reasons why I love talking to you, we do this all the time on the Hill on NewsNation, 6 o'clock Eastern. You shoot it straight. I think you're one of these Democrats who shoots it straight, or generally one of the members of Congress who does. And you know this, Congressman, and I know it. When you talk to Democrats privately, I know you're in the House, but let's start here in the Senate. When you talk to Democrats privately, they believe that the Senate is gone and is flipping. Do you believe that's where it is right now? And if not, what gives you hope that most are wrong?
Well, we're definitely swimming upstream. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I do have hope about Tester coming through. And the Texas race, you didn't have a chance to mention that one, but Colin Allred is doing far better than I think anybody expected. And that would be a huge upset if he can pull that off. And I think as your previous commentator was discussing, turnout's going to be a real big factor in really all of these races, but especially in Pennsylvania and Ohio, I think, and to some extent Texas. So we'll see, but I think you're right. You know, we were definitely challenged in holding the Senate, no question about it.
Yeah, if I kept going around that map, you're right. Democrats are hopeful of taking down Ted Cruz in Texas. The polling, those shows maybe that's a few points uphill climb. And then in Florida, as you know, Democrats are also trying to take down Rick Scott, the incumbent. He's never lost a race in that state, but Democrats are hopeful there. Let me talk about the House where you are. Basically, according to DDHQ and whoever really looks at the map, you're talking about possibly a couple dozen, maybe 20 races that could flip the House one way or another. What's your sense, Congressman, of where the House is right now?
I think it's a toss-up. You know, we've been pushing very, very hard. The race in Pennsylvania, actually Reading was one of the towns where the vice president's going to be going, I believe. You got a tough congressional race there. We're trying to knock off an incumbent. I think there's 4 incumbents around the New York City metropolitan area that I think are at heavy risk, and I think there's a couple we can pick up in California as well.
Yeah, New York and California, right? We talk about the 7 key swing states, but the balance of power could run through New York and California.
I think that's right, and you know, I think those are seats that we shouldn't have lost in 2022. There's, you know, idiosyncratic issues for each of those districts, but we picked up 2 in New York already in these special elections, and I think we can get several more of those back, but I think that's going to drive what happens. We've also got a major one here in Maryland, April Delaney trying to hang on to David Trone's seat. Looks like we can do that, but that was that's a close race as well. We'll have to see what happens tomorrow night on that one.
Yeah, so on the Hill, Congressman, I had Kevin O'Leary. You probably know him from Shark Tank fame. He's on the show often like you are. And I asked him, you know, if the Senate goes Republican and Democrats win one of the other 2, whether it's the presidency or the House or both, then you essentially get gridlock. I asked him about that. I want you to listen to what Kevin O'Leary said. I'll get your reaction on the other side.
I love gridlock in Washington. My favorite thing. Absolute traffic jam. Nothing gets done. Perfect. That would be great. That's what markets like. Certainty of nothing. That's a wonderful thing.
Certainty of nothing, he says. What if he's right? Or what if that concept is right, that we get at the end of all this, we get gridlock? Congressman, then what do you think could potentially come after that?
Well, I think it depends on who has the White House, frankly. Obviously, I want the House of Representatives back. I hope the Democrats win that body and take control of that. But who has the White House is really going to be the driving factor in a couple of ways. From the economy standpoint, continuing to push out lots of federal dollars that were put up during the Biden and Harris administration, I think, for things like bringing back manufacturing jobs and helping the economy. I think it's good to have that moving forward. Then the other piece will be what happens to the government, the executive branch overall.
Right.
Project 2025 would be, I think, very damaging across the board. I don't think we want that to happen. And then finally, you know, getting appointments, for example, you know, for judges, I think is going to be a big issue if there's gridlock on that. That could create problems for the economy as well as cabinet members. So those are the things I think we'll have to keep an eye on if you do have a different Senate than a different White House.
Thanks for watching, everybody. Go to joinnn.com to find NewsNation on your television provider. Also, don't forget to click that red subscribe button below to get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.